Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joy Division with another game of online Scythe. Exciting match today. We've got a 4-player bid game. So combos were randomly selected. We bid endgame points on our combination of choice until we had final prices on each one. I was lucky to get Crimea Industrial. This was my favorite pick of the bunch, though I was also eyeing up Saxony Militant. Compared to the combinations on the board, I think those two have the best chance of winning, even if it's at a moderate to high cost. Polania Agricultural is third in the turn order there. They could be potentially fast, but it requires a lot of luck. On average, they're going to be low-ish to moderate score and low speed as well. So they were not something I wanted to end with, but you can't count them out. If they find the perfect encounter multiple times, they could kind of throw an upset here. Polania Agricultural winning this game looks like tier 3 popularity, a bunch of stars off of encounters, and a factory card that lets you like trade a power or a card for 2 pop as you fly around the board to eat up as much territory and popularity as possible. Just not the kind of game I wanted to play. Rusviet Patriotic, on the other hand, if the prices are high enough on the rush boards, they have a good chance of stealing the game here, because if it goes to like round 16, 17, 18, Rusviet Patriotic really starts to accelerate in its score. So nothing to scoff at, but not the combination I wanted to be playing. I am very excited about Crimea Industrial. It's my favorite board with this faction, and I think Crimea plays it better than anyone else. You have great but very different strategies coming out of Saxony, Polania, even Nordic when paired with the industrial board, but Crimea takes it to a whole new level with their special faction ability, Coercion. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it really cuts some corners here that lets me play an exciting game of Scythe. Saxony Militant is worth... Ooh, this encounter's pretty good. So the upgrade is really nice because Agricultural thrives off of 3 or more upgrades, and they just picked one up right there. Yeah, so great find for Polania. The food is also nice because they can bolster right into an enlist, so well done by them. They'll be getting a lot of coins if they choose the mech enlist. I think Rusviet just got an upgrade of their own. Yep, going to be also bolstering and deploying. Meanwhile, we're going to come out with our first mech. So you'll notice that I enlisted already, and I chose to get the deploy bonus. This was actually very key timing because I got my first mech. I got it before my first mech. I got it before Saxony's first mech and before Rusviet's first mech. And I know Saxony for sure and myself for sure will be making 4 mechs. Rusviet also will likely be making 4, but depending on how much power they have, maybe they stop at 3. But what I'm trying to say is that's getting it on the turn I did is going to be like somewhere around 12 coins for me. But if I missed a round, I'm maxing out at like 8 or 9 coins just because of the mechs that I would have passed up. Okay, we take 2 oil here. Normally that encounter I just found, number 9, is absolute garbage. But with this combination, it's actually pretty nice because I need that oil somehow. And if I don't have to trade for it, that just saves me time. I can trade for like a building instead, which the theme of this board is all going to be value. Like every action you take has a lot of value in that you're always able to bleed into future moves and future turns. So you'll see that a lot with my enlist turns. Back around the horn though, I was going to talk about Saxony. The militant combination, especially if they find something useful on this village encounter, can score a ton of raw points So without even being on a lot of territory, they can sometimes get like mid 30s of just coin itself. And I think their ideal game is one that goes slightly longer so they can continue to deploy over and over again, even though they already have 4 mechs. There's just nothing quite like moving to take territory, maybe combats, and also getting 4 coins for a deploy. So that's definitely what I would be doing if I was on Militant. It looks a little awkward with their worker count, but it is an optimal strategy here. It's going to make just enough metal for them to cover all their deploys. All right, back to the game. I produced again. Doing the 8 worker produce is going to be clutch with this board. I think there's definitely like valid 5 worker strategies out there, but with Crimea, you want to take advantage of overproducing, because every time you're able to trade, if you already have the food you need, you can trade for other things. And with coercion, you're able to get bottom row actions done that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. A perfect example of this is I have enough food for an enlist, so I'm going to trade for wood instead. And when I do that, not only will I get my enlist done, but I'll be able to build a building when I move. And with Crimea specifically, like having a mine on your home farm or home village, if you choose, is so nice. You can scout much more liberally, take fights you otherwise wouldn't take, because you don't care about getting sent home. Like if you don't have the mine, getting sent home is pretty brutal because it takes you 2 moves to become relevant again. But that mine changes everything. So now I'll be able to make a building, I'll be able to upgrade, I'll be able to keep deploying. I'm going to be able to cover all my bases. The only downside is you have to make sure you stay afloat with popularity. I don't have any plans of getting to tier 2, but I can't drop to 0 too early. I need at least 1 more big produce before I start spending my popularity. And don't be fooled, friends. This popularity is a resource, and it's something you should spend. Often in high-level games, trying to flirt with 7 pop is a mistake. Unless you're in specific scenarios that make it good, like you have all your mechs and your Polania, so you don't really care who you fight. Players at this level are very good about positioning their workers to really make it difficult for you tier 2 fans out there to enjoy your dreams. Okay, so Rusviet has moved everything to the northern farm, but Polania only has, well, here they have their 2nd mech now. So the threat here is if Polania can get to the factory on their next move, and then Rusviet still hasn't deployed their 2nd mech, Polania has a chance to take all of Rusviet's metal and completely floor their turn order. I don't anticipate that'll happen. Rusviet's gonna likely make speed as soon as possible here because they don't want to get wrecked. But that's a threat that you always have to keep your eye on when Polania's in the game. Okay, so you'll notice I chose to produce instead of move. No one's left their base yet. I guess Rusviet's left their base, but no one's made a move on the middle yet. So I just felt much safer about picking up Scout. If I have Scout, the movements I choose to take on the board will probably stick, in that players also looking to move out to the middle maybe won't fight me because of Scout. But if I only had Riverwalk and like 1 or 2 cards, I might be easy pickings at low power here. So being the first to move out is always a little vulnerable because players can choose to directly impede your game by stepping on your territories. Now that I have Scout, I feel much safer. I'm going to make a move to the middle here. I'm going to protect my main character, and I'm doing that by putting a 2nd mech on the village. Ooh, nice. I can just cut off a trade right here. That saves me a turn. So here's what I talked about in spending my pop. I've already produced 3 mechs. I can very easily skip my 4th production by just trading raw metal. And there's that mine that I wanted. So now I have 4 active mechs. I have four combat units that are within striking distance of anyone who's out of their base, right? I have 2 on a tunnel, and I have 2 more within reach of the factory and other tunnels. Okay, so this is a great encounter for militant because the metal is always good. Taking extra metal never hurts you. It's just like so much bang for your buck. In terms of the deploy bonus is that good with that mat. Saxony's already enlisted cards, but I think they really want to enlist the deploy bonus. I'm actually very surprised they enlisted cards. This tells me that maybe they don't have good cards. As a militant combination, I would list deploy every time. Like, look at all the coins they missed from me, for example. They could have had 3, maybe 2. Oh, wow. Okay. They took the metal and they did not deploy. That's a huge risk. So they did that because they had monopolized the market, so they got a star for it. But now there's no mech on the village. Normally they would have deployed and put a mech right there, so those workers are defended. But now, if someone felt like it, they could send all of those villagers home. And that's going to stay there for 2 rounds. So, like, Saxony can't do anything about it this turn. And then next turn, they still have to move before they can deploy again. This encounter is the best in the game for Polania. Even if you only have 1 measly popularity, you can still take option 3. That's how amazing it is. And if you have 3 pop to start, you can get 8 resources. Rustviet's the one that found this, but I just wanted to make a note that that's Polania's dream. So I'm sure it hurts them a little to see that one go. Okay, so we're going to trade for another building, and the reason I'm doing that is that the bonus is quite nice. Also, I found oil earlier. Usually I would trade for oil at this point because I really want that triple move. But like I was saying, the building bonus is pretty good here, in that I can move, spend the wood, get something that is valuable to me, and get a few coins for doing it. Okay. Yeah, so I was really hoping and wondering if Polania was going to attack Saxony there. The 10 metal, like, that would be absolutely devastating if Saxony got sent home. They would not be able to recover their metal, and their game would be over. So instead, Polania chooses to attack Rustviet, which I'm not sure I agree with, because 10 metal, man. Could you imagine? Wow, oh my gosh. The encounters this game have been out of this world. We've seen some of the best encounters that exist. Yeah, that's definitely what I would do. Take the second and the third option there. So actually, this was huge for Polania because they are going to get their upgrade star now. They just got 2 upgrades in 1 turn. They took an upgrade for pop, and then they took oil to get a second one. I have to check how many they're at, but yeah, wow, they're at 5 upgrades now. Maybe they could spare us one because we could really use one. All right, so Rustviet counterattacks. I don't know if I agree with this either. You don't need to go there. Moving for patriotic is not very useful. I mean, you don't want Polania sitting in your base, but you'd rather be doing other things with your turn. Oh my god. All right. That's a lot of 5s we just saw. 10 to 10. Wow. And Rustviet spent no power. That was rough. I like what Polania did there. That was like a good chance for them to catch Rustviet sleeping, but man, those cards were just too good. So that was 1, 2, 3 just now. I think we've seen 4 out of 6 5s. So that's a good thing to keep track of. That way we know that our 4s are actually quite high. We can assume people do not have 5s. Okay. So we're going to move, and while it's pretty tempting to knock Saxony's workers home, we're going to have to go for Rustviet here. I'm going for Rustviet because they have two cards. So after Scout, they're only going to have a single card, and I just saw them spend, oh my god. I was going to say I just saw them spend 2 5s, and I stole a third one. Wow, they were loaded up. I'm really glad I did this. So technically, the very last card they're holding could be a 5, but I think the chances of that are incredibly small. So I'm just going to spend 6. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So they don't want to drop to 0 cards, regardless of what their card was. And we're going to get the win there for very low cost. Wow, so crazy that they had that many 5s. That's insane. Okay. I'm going to take the building. Yeah, we might build all 4 buildings this game. I'm building a second building now. I'm going to be able to put it on the oil for another bonus. And if I find myself in a position where it makes sense to drop 2 more buildings, I definitely will. Okay, we're getting attacked. That's okay. I don't really need to stay here. I just need to focus on finishing my bottom row actions, and I can get my second combat when I'm ready. Going to 2 combats really early is not always the best thing to do, and the more scouting I can get done, the easier it'll be for me to close the game. So I'm okay with this. Saxony gets that much needed deploy. They're very fortunate to have survived here with the open village and the 10 metal, but good for them. They also get a killer factory card, so that card helps them enlist while moving, and that's something that makes them very dangerous because they can do the 2 best actions while moving every turn. They can move regular to deploy, they can factory card to move and enlist. So dangerous combo for them, but we did not need that card, so we didn't take it. We've got our enlist done. We're just going to upgrade and then move. And when we move, it's going to be pretty scary. The triple move with Scout is nothing to scoff at. Even though we only have 2 cards, we are quite dangerous. We'll see if Rustviet gets more cards here, but they could be another target for us. Okay. We need to upgrade. We have to have that move unlocked, and then we're just 1 mech away from being able to end the game. Our objective, population advantage, is very easy. We have 2 out of 3 villages, and I don't think anyone suspects that we're going for villages. Sometimes if you show your hand by making odd movements, it can be very, like you can get sent home. People anticipate your objective, but I don't think that's the case for us. What I will say Saxony messed up on is they deployed on their metal instead of their village. So again, they could have all 3 of those workers just sent home, and that's really, really bad because you can't pick them up until you lose a fight with a mech. And if you can't pick them up, your territory score just plummets. Like those 3 workers could be 6 points. Look at that move. That was a weird move. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. Those are signs that they're trying to complete an objective. And if I'm going to guess what objective it is, it's diversify production. Because there's no reason to go backwards for oil when you could just go out onto the map, except to have a very safe oil position. So I think a good move for us is to send some workers home because they don't have lumber yet. And if you look at Saxony's position, they could move, deploy, objective. So if they get like a combat on their movement, they win the game. And they're currently winning the game. The bid is not that high. 7 coins. While holding the factory, like you would definitely be cashing in the victory there. So we're gonna move right now because I suspect that Saxony can win. If we let them move with their regular move, they could cash in 3 stars in 1 turn. So what's it going to be here? We have to make sure they can't attack us. So I need to do something about my lone mech on the village. And I also want to send their workers home because I want to make sure that I have enough of a buffer and score to stop them from ending the game. I have 2 cards. I have 2 4s. So we're going to pick a fight on the factory and win that. And then I'm going to send these villagers home to make it very hard for them to finish Diversify if that is in fact what they have. Yeah, so this is big because our main competitor is Saxony, and this turn was a lot of value for us in stalling. It's crazy that I have to think about stalling as the industrial board, but that's just how fast they were able to get their ducks in order here. I'm gonna max them out because if I lose this fight, it's basically a must-win fight for me. The factory is really valuable, and wow, good thing I went all out there. You do not want to bluff in must-win scenarios, and that is why. All right, pop advantage. I turned it in to boost my score because Saxony could still technically win if they had, like, I don't know, underworld advantage or something. Okay, they've got the metal. They have 0 power though, that's huge. So I'll probably take a look at the score here and do the breakdown. That move was gigantic for us. We jumped to 65. But before that turn, Saxony was by far the favorite from a scoring position standpoint. So it looks like maybe we overextended a little bit. You could argue that we put ourselves in a bad position because now our final star is the mech star, and that's not a star you can complete by moving given our situation. So players can like pick off our workers, try to take metal, but I just don't foresee. I think it was a risk we had to take, essentially. Saxony thinking about this move. There's a lot to consider, I'm sure. But I think the real winner for us was sending the villagers home. Because no matter what objective they are holding, it's harder to do without villagers. And you have to also acknowledge that the inability to spread like that is really big. Okay, they deployed. Yeah, they weren't able to do it in that position. That's great news. Okay, we'll see if Rustviet takes our metal here, and they do not. Okay, good game. Explosive finish there, but GG. There's definitely a scary moment there last turn with Saxony. This was a bid game. Very fun way to make the game as competitive as you can and enjoy like all the different combinations regardless of their balance. So I'll be trying to do more of these, but I hope you enjoyed Crimea Industrial. Definitely a really fun combination to play, and more to come. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.